Well, you can't escape. You placed yourself in this situation. You gave us the power to tell everyone about the Breakfast Bar
Well,
story.
I just want to let you guys know that Breakfast Bar was not considered essential during the pandemic. So I
it was considered dangerous.
I feel like you messaged me and let me know that a couple months back.
I texted both of you. I seen it and reported
to be
it to you.
fair, the Breakfast Bar has been a harbinger of plagues long before coronavirus.
You're right.
Looking good.
Yeah, you guys are looking good,
Kate.
man.
I am sexy.
You guys are looking like different eras and versions of Wolverine himself. Like
I was saying on my way over here that I was excited to be in a room with you because for once I won't be the person in the room that resembles Shaggy from Scooby-Doo the hardest.
Yes.
For once in my life.
Yes, because Zoinks!
Exactly.
I sound like him too. It's fucked up.
Oh, I feel your pain.
Whenever you're ready, Caden.
Yeah, we're good. You guys ready?
I'm ready.
No.
3, 2, action.
You talking to me? I'm talking to you. This is talking to me, talking to you. And I got Dylan Roberts and Joe Barth,
What's up?
2 members of the 5 members of Starless, and some very, very good friends of mine. I've known you guys for what, like 5 years now?
Going
Even
on
5
now.
years?
Yeah. There, because
Yeah. About as long as I've known like Caden and Ben and all them too. I think it's all the same time.
We all
right?
met
It's
each
all
other
the
at
same
I
the
time.
met
same
you a
time,
couple weeks
yeah.
after you met Caden. Yeah.
That's right. Oh yeah, it was a couple weeks after. It was a couple weeks. There was like a weird situation where like you was at a studio, I was at a studio, but we were different studios, and then we ended up talking about being at different studios.
And then we turned out we were going to the same studio.
Yeah. Wild story. But no, I got you guys here. I got you guys on the couch, and I got a couple things I want to talk to you about. So, and I assume you guys have something that you want to talk to me about, but we'll get to that later.
We'll get to that. Let's start with talking to me.
Talking to me first. So, which means I'm talking.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you're talking to me?
So I'm talking.
Either way, you start.
Exactly. I don't know. Who knows, man?
I'm
I don't
talking
know
to
how
you,
things work
but
on
you're
there.
talking to me.
But neither of us are talking to either of
No,
us.
you don't.
Yeah,
exist.
you guys don't talk to each other. That's not the rule. Well,
Okay.
there's no rules. I said that before.
I'm Joe. Nice to meet you.
I am Dylan.
But anyway, so I got you guys here, and like I said, you guys are 2 members of Starless. You guys are rocking it last year, man, and this year. Like you guys dropped a video this year, right?
Yep.
Regicide, but
Yeah.
done by a good friend of ours, Sandwich Jones.
Sandwich Jones.
And you guys did a video last year, which was your debut music video, right? It was that Event Horizon. Or no, I'm sorry, that was a like live action music video. But you guys do have
Technically, that was the year before last year.
Oh yeah, it
Since
was.
we're in 2021.
Yeah,
now.
that's right. So that's what I meant. Yeah, we're in 2021 now.
Yeah.
Last year.
So
last year was
Last year,
Regicide.
Regicide.
Yeah.
It still feels like
2019.
2020, man.
Yeah.
2020 part 2.
So, which Event Horizon was off your guys' debut? Is it EP? Is it an EP?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and that's self-titled, right? Starless. Okay, cool. So I just listened to it before you guys came up, man. I was just like, wow, I forgot things that you guys did.
Yeah.
And man, there's just so many cool like vibes and tricks that you guys put in there in the song making. And so I kind of wanted to talk about that, like your guys' process, because I know that Dylan, you kind of scope a lot of like the symphonic and orchestrated kind of parts. You know, you make music with us on Claremont, so like you're super talented with the keys, like I could say. So how what's your process of in Starless of making songs and like developing those kind of parts?
Well, typically songs kind of get a skeleton built by one of the members.
Yeah.
Usually, so far it's been either Kenny or I has come up with something that kind of resembles the structure of the song the way we want it to be, and then we'll bring it to the others, and then people will come in with ideas of their own and start throwing things into the mix. Kenny and I will bounce a song back and forth a couple of times, so I can come up with some of the key parts if it's one he did. But in the case of Event Horizon, that is one that I wrote. I sent to Kenny, and then he re-recorded all of the fake guitar parts I'd written with real guitars. And of course, over the process, things change, things grow.
Yeah.
Ethan writes his own drum parts so they actually sound good,
Yeah.
and not like they were written by a drummer with 5 arms.
Yeah. Which is happening a lot in metal music. Like people get way too far into digitizing like their drummer and just too much. So, like you gotta have to. If you're a new band and you're doing that, you're gonna have to hire a guy that can play drums that good. And if you're a band that's just starting out, you're probably not going to get a guy that plays drums that good.
Thankfully, Ethan only digitizes and records and stuff parts that he can play himself.
Yeah, which
it's
Ethan,
important if you want to play live shows. Doesn't really matter right now.
Yeah,
but
yeah, it is.
Eventually, it'll matter again.
Well, and just getting a good quality, like solid original recording of acoustic, instruments is always good to do. But in this world with the digital stuff, I mean, it's easy to get those sounds without going in and spending all the money.
Especially if you're on a budget because you're in a local band.
Exactly.
You're just 5 guys trying to come up with the money for it.
Yeah.
It costs like twice as much to record with live drums.
It's a lot cheaper for 5 guys in one band to pitch in a little bit of money each and buy a really good drum sample bank that they can then use for the foreseeable future.
Which is exactly what we did.
Yeah, that's smart. That's very smart. And so you guys also do because like I said, you do a lot. You're very orchestrated with your music. How long have you been playing music for, Dylan?
Playing music?
Yeah,
pretty much my whole life.
Just out the womb.
I've always been around guitars and keyboards and just noodling on them for as long as I remember. Being really young before I'd even gone into kindergarten, and ending up with Super Mario Bros. On the NES in front of me and a little Casio keyboard next to me, and then playing the notes that I heard from the song on the TV on the keyboard.
Oh wow!
So that was kind of my introduction into playing by ear. Yeah. And it explains a lot about the music that I compose nowadays and how it all gets compared to video game music.
Well, yeah, dude, because it is. Like, I mean, you listen to, Legend of Zelda. I mean, yeah, it's 8-bit digital sounds, but, I mean, man, it's scoped out brilliantly. You know what I mean? It really, it sticks in your head, and that's what music's about, is keeping that playing in your head constantly. Like, it's stuck in your head, like they say. But what I was gonna say though is because of that orchestrated thing, I noticed a lot in the beginning, guys, of songs you do a lot of buildy pieces, and they're not necessarily a part of this. They are obviously, but they're very different from what the song ends up being. The song's very metal and a lot of breakdowns and hard guitars and Walter singing very clean and gritty vocals. But then you have these pieces in the very beginning of songs where it's very orchestrated. Very, theater-like. So do you have a lot to do with those making? Okay, cool.
Oh, yeah.
That was my question. So how do you think of those parts?
I view those parts kind of as it's there, but it's also its own individual thing. With metal and a lot of other genres, the songs can tend to sound similar to one another, despite the obvious differences, just because of the similarities of the sound between the guitar and the drums. So those sections and the sounds that I choose to use can really help the song stand apart. So you hear one song coming in with the way those sounds are being portrayed, you're automatically going to associate that with whatever comes afterwards. So it becomes its own separate entity.
Yeah.
It lets you chop up, say, an EP into more easily digestible chunks and recognize each entry, but they all form part of a whole.
Yeah, and you can definitely tell that you do have that in mind. Do you make the beginning pieces first, or do you make them after the song is completed?
The songwriting process
It's
always
weird. It's
changes.
different.
It's always all
You're
over.
right, yeah.
Sometimes the intro's the first thing I write. Sometimes I don't come up with it until we're about to hit the studio.
Okay, yeah. Which leads me into Joe. I want to talk to you because Kenny, he mentioned earlier, Kenny's your brother. You guys are the guitarist. I like to say shared lead guitarist because you guys switch rhythm and lead. So how do you guys decide when to do when there's a solo or when there's a part that you feel like there's more moving part? How do you guys decide between each other who's gonna write the part or be doing that, based off your guys' specific skill sets in guitar, obviously?
So Kenny's definitely more involved in the writing process than I am.
Yeah, like Dylan said.
Yeah, him and Dylan kind of write. Now, we do have a song that we're working on that I wrote the skeleton for.
Oh, okay, cool.
I like to call it the Ringo song.
We're gonna hang this right.
We're kind of gonna do a goofy music video to go with it.
We got you a song, Joe.
Joe's not even the best guitar player in Starless. Yeah, but so a lot of the times there's leads that are there's a lead and then a harmony played over it. It's
Yeah.
the same thing. And with that one, it's almost always just we're at practice the first time we're working on it, and Kenny's like, "Hey, you want top or bottom?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
bottom." And
Okay.
top, you know, or just one of us picks it and we just divide it up.
Yeah.
It's kind of random. It doesn't really matter.
That's
Now,
cool.
Some leads have like other random reasons as to who's doing them. Like
Technicalities.
we have a lead on Solar that fades in towards the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time that we started playing this live, I had a volume pedal on my rig. I was just using a Helix. And Kenny was using pedals but did not have a volume pedal. He only had a knob. And so I took the lead because it was easier for me to fade it in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you
So now Kenny is using a volume pedal on his live setup. Live setup doesn't exist.
Well, that's
but,
cool that you're doing that
you know.
too. Actually using a real volume pedal to fade down and fade in.
Yeah.
People don't do
It's
that.
a
That's
pain in
all
the ass.
after. That's
And-
all after nowadays.
Yeah,
Nobody
it's-
does that.
It is a pain in the ass.
It
I
is.
understand why people don't do it.
Yeah.
but It feels nice.
Imagine making
Feels
music back in the
authentic.
1980s. That'd be some hard stuff, guys.
I'd be in synth
Imagine
heaven.
making music in any year before they had like
DAWs.
digital
Yeah.
modeling pedals and
Mhm.
stuff. I couldn't do it.
So I do have a couple videos pulled up. I'm gonna play two. I got the first one I'm gonna do, and then we're gonna pop back in. But I'm gonna play Event Horizon. And to my knowledge, Joe, you played the solo in this one, right?
Yes, I wrote the solo
So you
on
did
this
the solo
one
in
as
this
well.
one, and
Oh,
this also has
no.
an orchestrated beginning, Dylan, like we were talking about. This is done by Sandwich Jones too, right? I'm gonna have him on actually tomorrow, which is gonna be real
Awesome.
fun. Yeah. So who thought of like the backstory to this?
It kind of came up during a roundtable session.
Okay, you guys like have like a meeting. And just thinking-
Ben had announced to the group that he had some hazmat suits, so we were trying to come up with a way to use them. And I can't remember who said it. I think it was Ethan, but somebody came up with the idea for a zombie apocalypse video. And I was like, well, I've got the perfect place to film one.
Oh yeah. This yeah, because we've talked about this place a few times. It looks so like apocalyptic. Like there's a bunch
Yeah.
of broke down cars and concrete barriers and stuff.
Old foundations. I love
Yeah.
how quick Joe jumps up here.
Oh yeah, he's
He's like, I'm awake.
I'm good. What's up? Not realistic. Actual apocalypse, I would have asked for 5 more minutes.
You've been so tired from all the surviving you're doing.
Right.
Yeah, this made for some good imagery.
Yeah, really good imagery. It's always good to do like especially yellows and greens like that, using high contrast.
Oh, they really pop against
Yeah.
each other.
And so so this is just like an empty field, and then parts are done on that property you're talking about, right?
Yeah, that field's actually just
Part of it.
That
slightly
feels part
down
of
the road.
property
That
too,
makes
yeah.
sense. So do you had some people help you, right? Oh, Jason, right? Is that Jason?
That is Ethan's cousin, Zach.
Oh, really? I thought that was what's his face? I can't remember his last name.
Fun fact, we ran a Facebook advertising campaign with that picture, and they blocked it for graphic content.
No way.
Yep.
Yes, but in the actual behind-the-scenes fact here, he wasn't actually dead.
Yeah, he was very much alive. He's an actor.
you know.
Yeah, he's fine.
Is when you put fake stuff on the internet, Facebook don't know what to do. Oh man.
And that's Ethan's other cousin. I actually was
Nice.
sore for like a day after he
Oh,
tackled
yeah.
me here. He got me good.
Joe gets bodied.
So you were sore?
Wait, watch this.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, this is all
This is
100%
like a
real.
full body
He just
tackle.
tackled.
You can watch Joe brace for it.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
happened.
Karsten. He's a good buddy of ours. And for whatever reason, Walter and Kenny are like, "Oh, look at this poor man turning into a zombie." And
I
just
will say,
start taking
I
pictures of him.
volunteered to get tackled by Ethan's cousin because it was so hot, and if I was the first one dead, I got to take off my suit earlier than anyone else.
That makes sense.
So I wanted to die first.
I was the
vol-
last one in my
I
suit.
volunteer
Yeah.
a sacrifice.
I mean, that's how it was between all
Fuck
5
out.
of us. We're like, oh, let me please die first. Okay, well, let me at least go second.
Oh, that's cool. That was like an old handheld camera. That's a real
Yeah,
We had
Ethan's
some-
mom brought a bunch of like antique cameras for us to use.
Yeah.
because she collects them.
cool. I actually have like the first ever produced camera that was sold like to the market. Yeah, it's
Oh,
like a
nice.
1954. I can't remember what it's called. A Browning. It's called a Browning.
This scene was my brainchild,
Oh yeah, Rusty Scythe.
and my dad just had it laying around his property, and I was like, we got to use this in a metal video.
I'll tell you one thing. If you survived from it, you're not gonna be surviving much longer from the
No,
tetanus.
get you a tetanus shot.
Especially not during the apocalypse.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Fun fact, I actually sliced my hazmat suit open during that scene,
You did, yeah.
so it did not survive much longer. And I think it was Joe that had to ride home with all of these in his trunk.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Imagine explaining that to the cops.
Do you mind if I check in your trunk, sir?
And this is pre-2020, right?
Yeah.
This would have been real hard to explain.
Yeah, we just predicted 2020 basically.
Yeah, we filmed this in like
On the cusp.
summer of 2019, I think. Because it was real hot. I'm just wandering off into the woods. I didn't know when to stop, so I just kept going.
That's what you gotta do. You just gotta keep walking. Did you see Daft Punk's thing? Dude, yeah.
Well,
Don't stop. Don't cut. Just let it go. That's kind of feel like what that meant. Anyways. Let the beat go. Was that it though? Oh no. So what exactly? Because like I kind of understand it, but it's showing like a before and after, obviously, right? Like so it's about like so is that child one of you?
it's kind of loosely left open for interpretation.
Yeah,
It's kind of showing the kid entering a bedroom and picking up a toy, and then it pretty much immediately cuts to the bear outside, just destroyed with plants
Yeah.
growing out of it. So it's kind of saying like time has passed and things are broken and damaged now.
Yeah.
And the video itself approaches a zombie apocalypse with like a group of researchers or surveyors attempting to
Yeah.
categorize things. The lyrics they go in kind of a different direction. It's more about almost like a eldritch horror kind of personified
okay.
as a looming end for the human race.
Yeah.
But to not feel like despair at thinking about that and fall into any kind of sadness, it's
Yeah.
basically find strength in knowing that the end cannot be prevented is one of the lines from the songs.
That's really cool. That's interesting. I mean, especially that's a whole scope, like video, music, art, concept. And a lot of bands do that, but not many people nail it. And that's a lot of like hidden layers. I feel like in that. I mean, you've always had that, Dylan, within all your stuff. Joe, like having somebody like Joe and Kenny that are brothers that have this bond already, and they've been playing guitar their entire lives. So they built basically this interconnection, and have that on top of just these orchestrated, music pieces it's really cool, man. It's impressive. And you guys have really gotten a good step in the first few years of you guys being a band. You guys went through a couple name changes and stuff like that, kind of like wandering through like what kind of stuff are you gonna do, like how are you gonna assemble it all, the right people, the right placement and time. But then it finally boom, it came together, and then out of nowhere you guys were just like Starless.
We found the right vocalist and drummer, because me, Kenny, and Dylan have been involved from the get-go, but
Yeah.
we've had lots of other people in and out. We had other guitar players at different points.
Yep, I remember the different singers. You went
Yeah,
through
we've had
quite a few.
4 vocalists
Yeah.
now. Although, so once we had like the solidified lineup, we played under that lineup still as Airways, but with like new material.
Yeah.
Just for one show, and then we were like, okay, this is the lineup. We're gonna go ahead and change the name and just
And
restart.
switched it.
So none of the
Yeah.
songs are the same. 3 of the members are the same. We played one show with the current Starless songs and
Yeah.
current members as Airways before we officially changed it.
So that's really cool that you guys, because you have old material. I do remember that I seen that you guys never released. It's just kind
That
of like
stuff's probably gonna stay in the vault for a good while.
just back tape side B stuff you might not release until down the line, and be like, oh hey, let's maybe look into this, maybe remaster,
Yeah.
or
I
just
have
leave
plans
it. You don't have to.
after another couple more
But it's good to have that. is what I'm saying.
EPs or an LP. I kind of have plans to put together a lot of our old material into kind of like a monster prog song.
Oh, like make a giant, like 15-minute long.
Yeah,
song.
just cut it all together,
Yeah.
best of the best, cream of the crop,
Dude,
and then release it.
And all those orchestrated pieces that you're talking about, how you would just like fit them in and make them sound like bigger, and those would be perfect to fill in those too, in between all those different songs. Because the sounds are all very, you guys really stick true to an album. When you're doing a sound for an album, back to back, it does. You don't leave the plane or field that you're in at the moment. You know what I mean? You guys fucking rock it, and then you get out, and then like with Regicide, it got very different.
Regicide was different.
Because a lot of guys' songs start slow, like boom, 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 and then this one was just
hit right off the bat.
just like kick
Regicide
off.
is a different beast entirely.
And that's
It's a lot
cool.
less synth centered than we normally are.
Yeah.
for
Not,
most
I
of
mean,
it.
you have some. Well, yeah, for most of it.
You guys
Like I
sneak it
was
in
gonna
there.
say, Dylan's got some cool shit in there, but he's not in the driver's seat as often as he normally.
Yeah.
is
Which is really
during a
funny
song.
because I wrote the song.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that is ironic actually. But you guys had Sandwich Jones come back and do this one with you. This one got done way bigger though.
We set our sights for Hollywood with
Yeah.
about 1,000th of the budget,
Yeah.
or less.
Yeah, I could tell. You guys definitely went, as high as possible you could go. It looked really cool. I liked how Sandwich did the cool intro with like the CG and the all that. It looked, it fit the narrative for it all. And then like obviously utilizing the green screen the way it is, made all that match. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't just go from using CG to clean cut shots like of a normal place unless you do it the right way. You got to flow them in there, and that's what I feel like you guys did. So how did you guys think of the whole concept? Was this just like another roundtable meeting?
It kind of was. The lyrics for Regicide were
Because it's much more planned out. I can see like you guys playing a lot more out. Like
The lyrics for Regicide are a lot more conceptually concise. Like they're very clearly about one specific thing.
yeah, my
which
dumbass
is-
could understand it.
It's
So it's worked.
a group of downtrodden people rising up to cast down someone who has abused them from a position of power, and they won't stand for it anymore. Essentially, it's kind of like a just a power to the people song,
Yeah.
but it's like straightforward. It's really simple in terms of how it's laid out. The message is right there, and it's pretty clear. So we decided, since it's got a nice, simple, straightforward message, let's make the video as wild as we can while keeping that same message.
Nice. I love that approach. That's kind of what we did with our last few films. We just decided like, hey man, let's think about like really kind of creating something that's not like a really possible normally for us. Like bring in like instead of it being like a normal person and you see a normal person like, oh, you see a cop. Oh, you see, these characters, these people, like kind of bringing in
Building up your scope.
yeah, building the scope up. Yeah, exactly. So, you guys, how long did it take to make this? Because it's pretty big.
It was like 3 or 4 separate days of filming.
Mm-hmm.
And that's for the performance segments, for all of the acting segments that were done at like 3 separate locations. And then it was an editing for
I can imagine.
a while.
Performance segments were actually done in our garage.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Not
We're-
my garage at the time.
That's
but
all you
my
need,
garage
man.
now.
Good lighting and a dark garage. And you
It
gotta
worked well.
rock, metal, indie rock, jazz, pop music video. It doesn't matter. But all right, but yeah, I want to get in that. I got this one pulled up too, and kind of watch it with you guys and go over it. Oh, and you guys did so again with the orchestrated beginning, but this time you put a narrative in it.
Yeah, we hired a Morgan Freeman narrator.
Really?
And this orchestrated
do
beginning
Fiverr?
was done by Dale, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this orchestrated beginning we didn't write. The evil king with the keytar. That guy
Okay.
wrote this section.
Oh, he wrote that. He wrote the
Yes.
beginning section. Okay.
I wrote it, and then I sent it to him, and I had him make his own version.
Oh, that's cool. Like, yeah, like did a whole Hollywood process. Like, hey, I got composed music. Can you?
If you listen
Creative.
to the orchestral section under it, it's actually the exact same melody as the pre-chorus.
The pre-chorus. Oh, in the song.
The pre-chorus of the song.
Really?
Oh, your hair was short. That guy on the
I
right's
know.
my dad, by the way.
No way.
Yeah, way.
Dude.
The older looking dude there.
Yeah.
And then we have the King's Guard.
Yeah. So I'm assuming, knowing you, Dylan, that you guys have this whole probably like lore behind this. Not as much as you'd want, or more than I'd
I
assume.
might, in my head, have been developing lores behind this, independent of what anybody else in the band thinks.
That's hilarious.
But I have also discussed the possibility of creating a prequel song about the King's rise to power.
Oh my god. Yeah.
So, believe it or not, I just want to get this out in the open. There is zero mask parallels being drawn in this video. I promise you we're not trying to send any kind of political message about masks.
We're not Five Finger Death Punch.
Yeah. So how many people did you guys end up getting in on this whole?
Oh, we had...
There's a lot. There'll be credits at the end.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. And so, did you guys use prop guns or did you use real guns?
They're real guns. They're all unloaded.
Of course. I mean, you don't want. Yeah, there was no murders
Obviously.
on your guys' video shoot.
Oh, wait, here it comes.
Other than the king murdering this solo.
So, did he do the solo too, or did you do this, Dylan?
I did this part.
Okay.
It's not actually done with keytar either.
Yeah,
No, of
we just
course.
wanted him to play
It's a
the
good
guitar.
time.
Oh, for sure. Who had the keytar?
Him.
Oh, really? That's
Dale,
awesome.
the king in this video, is the one who
killer.
owns the guitar.
I seen this part and I wondered after I watched it why you guys didn't do or more of the static look.
Because
in the
it's
basement.
one of those things where if you use it sparingly, it makes that
It was
moment
just
that
used-
much more.
I felt that. I just I don't know. It was just I don't know. That's just what I thought myself. It's just personal thought.
It was just done during like the Walter voiceover part.
Oh
there.
yeah. Okay, that makes sense. It's like yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I
That
think
makes
it went
that makes
well
more
with that.
sense.
So for this next segment, I had a lot of people who were really confused about what was happening in the video. But if you look by those pillars,
Yeah.
there are some explosive barrels
Oh.
because the newspaper in the very beginning of the video, during the narration, actually has an article stating that the king and his government have been stockpiling fuel,
Oh.
which explains why during this next scene here, when we have all the rebels throwing the Molotovs, why they don't just kind of splat against the side of a building. They have more of a explosive effect, which leads to one of my favorite video segments. I think the burning throne was the coolest part to
Yeah.
film
I
for the
mean,
entire
dude.
video.
Oh, so cool.
I
like,
bought that throne at a Goodwill, and I was so sad that I had to burn it.
I bet.
It's actually still sitting out in the woods to this day.
It's a little crispier now. Oh yeah, there's all the.
Okay, that's all the
credits
people. That's a
there.
decent amount of people. Yeah, dude, like that one. That's like watching a movie, man. And that's why I can't wait to have Sandwich on tomorrow. I'm gonna talk to him a little
Oh,
bit
he does
about
a
it.
good job.
Oh,
He does such a good
you're
job.
gonna have to kind of pick the videos you want to talk about on a case by case basis because Sandwich he's a prolific
does a
man.
lot.
He does a
know,
lot of
well,
stuff with a lot of people.
I'm not gonna pick out any individual things to show like from any like bands. I'd rather get the bands on, but I'm gonna show his reel, I think,
That's good.
and I'm gonna show.
I'm excited to watch his segment on this.
yeah, it's gonna
Yeah,
be
me
fun.
too.
We'll probably talk about his podcast a lot, but you know,
Right on.
it's real cool though, man. I mean, he you know, just being able to work with the same person and develop ideas over and over again really helps you understand what you're doing as an artist and as a creative with upcoming projects. You can contact these people and talk to them about it before you even, hey, I got an idea. Just an idea, just one thing, and then that can spurt off into this whole thing.
Once you get started with that, it helps you narrow your scope and,
Yeah.
and bring your visions down into more achievable areas. Because when you go into your first album that you produce and your first music video, you don't know where you're going to be paying budget-wise. You don't know how long it's going to take to film. After you've done it a couple times and it's not your first rodeo anymore, and you've got your same contacts, it's a whole streamlined process. Everybody's going into it knowing what to expect. You know your capabilities, and you only continue to get better with each other.
Yeah, exactly. And that just, like I said, I've known you guys for 5 years. You guys have known each other for around the same time, I'm assuming, right? And
Thereabouts.
Just building those relationships over periods of time, that's the thing about people that end up in new groups all the time and new stuff and do new stuff all the time. It's those bonds are the most important thing to you being a successful creative or artist. You got to make those relationships, because those are the people that's going to make you, that, they're the ones, like Caden. Caden's the one filming everything. If Caden wasn't here right now, I wouldn't be talking to you. Or you. Well, I would talk to you guys.
I wouldn't be talking to me.
Talking to me, talking to you. I wouldn't have a microphone in front of me, but it's just, it's cool how, it actually works. It comes down to the basic necessity of people, and that's just, you need friends. You need friendships. And that's something I kind of wanted to bring in a little bit, because you guys, I know, this is a little less businessy, but you guys are both, I like to call a little nerdy on the card gaming and I don't know what to call this stuff. Board games, strategy games. So I'm ignorant to most of it.
Sure,
but
which is okay.
I just played chess with Rachel and Ricky on the last podcast, and I ended up winning twice.
Oh,
somehow. Now I don't have a card game with me, miraculously. I actually thought about stealing Ben's Yu-Gi-Oh deck and playing it today, but I assumed you wouldn't have brought yours.
I didn't.
I haven't played Yu-Gi-Oh
have my deck
in
at the
I
apartment.
didn't assume you played, but I know and there's just, I just want to kind of touch on it all, because I know that so you were talking about video games and music and stuff, and that's kind of where you got a lot of your inspiration. You've actually made some, was it 8-bit or 16-bit little video games?
I've made a couple games over the years, just typically using game editing software, things that kind of help streamline the process. Nothing that's ever been particularly impressive, and nothing that's ever been...
It's just cool. It's a cool little niche, man.
I made a platforming game that was 3 levels long, and I did that solely to put a song that I wrote into a video game. And I've made 4 RPGs in RPG Maker and 1 survival horror game in RPG Maker, all of which didn't pass the 10% completion mark.
Oh.
But I made solely for an excuse to put my music into a video game.
That's fun though. That's you're just jumping in and getting into it, and that's where that's kind of what card games are too. It takes it takes a different part of your brain to kind of strategize, and that's I've seen Joe, you play so you play Yu-Gi-Oh. Do you play Magic?
Dylan plays Magic.
You play Magic.
He plays Magic to the same degree that I play Yu-Gi-Oh. Which is neither one of us are that into it these days.
Basically, I got a feud right here in front of me.
Yes.
That's hilarious.
100%.
I think that feud only exists in the minds of people who really actively play those games.
That's true.
To a degree though, Yu-Gi-Oh's a better game than Magic.
And to a degree, Magic's a better game.
Well, have you guys
So
heard?
I think that's the point.
Have you guys heard that Pokemon's on its way back up?
Pokemon's a nice game too.
Big.
Pokemon's also better than Magic.
Yeah, a lot of people are buying
Pokemon is better than
card.
Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
That's kind of also true in a lot of ways. And the Pokemon video game is leagues better than Yu-Gi-Oh.
I would say Pokemon video games are leagues better than any of the other card games that we just mentioned.
Well, are you talking about the card game video game, or are you talking?
No, just the actual video game.
The Game Boy Color Pokemon trading card game, that was terrible.
No, there's an online one.
Is there an online one?
Yeah,
now?
Kenny plays it a lot. Actually,
Really? I only played the was the Game Boy one.
Yeah, that
That was
was
horrible.
Yeah, the Game Boy one wasn't
It
great.
was horrible. But that's, it's fun to do. It's fun to...
The card game itself is really fun too, though, in my opinion.
What, Pokemon?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's becoming a new fad again. Like a bunch of rich people. are
Well, I
buying
think
them.
that's more collecting. But I
Yeah.
meant like the strategy side of the game is fun as
But
well.
doesn't that technically bring in people to be fans? Like
Sort of, but the cool thing about Pokemon is that it's got what's called a collector-driven market, which means that like the cool-looking Charizards are $1,000.
Yeah.
But you can build like one of the best decks to play it competitively for like under $100. Yu-Gi-Oh is a competitive-driven market. That means that the good cards to be played in the actual game are like
expensive.
$150 cards,
So-
and like your old Blue Eyes White Dragon from when you were a kid might be like $5.
So, so how much are you talking? So say you get a 3-head, what the 3-headed Blue Eyes White Dragon.
A Blue Eyes Ultimate,
Yeah, is that what it's called? So,
Yeah.
is that a rare card or
probably like $2.
so $2?
That's the
for that?
crazy. That's why like your old Yu-Gi-Oh cards from when you were a kid probably aren't worth shit, but your old Pokemon's from when you were a kid might be like a car payment. You know?
That's
It's-
crazy.
yeah, and it's just because more people play the Yu-Gi-Oh competitively than just collect. But with Pokemon, you see a lot less people playing it competitively and a lot more collecting. But that means if you want to play the Pokemon game competitively, it doesn't cost that much to get into it.
Yeah, that's
Because the expensive cards are just flashy for your binder. You don't actually
Yeah.
need to have them.
That's
they
such
look
a
cool
weird
as shit, but
that is such a weird thing too. Think about like you have one side that's completely based off collector, and it can be outrageously priced just based off of how old they are
and how cool it looks.
and how cool that.
everything,
Yeah. Like if it's got like a badge or so, like of how unique it is, boom, it's worth $3,000 or something
Yeah,
like that.
easily.
And then you got on the other side of competition based.
Yeah, this card came out last week, but it's $150
Yeah, because
it's pretty rare, and you have to have 3 of it if you want to compete.
Yeah,
that's
and
the
it
common
will
thing
help
with
you.
Yu-Gi-Oh.
It will
Yeah.
help you to victory more likely if you spend more money on it. That's super strange. That's a very odd way.
Well,
cards, man.
The thing
That's really
that it
strange.
makes me realize, as someone who does not have a tremendous amount of money, is that if I want to get a good Yu-Gi-Oh deck, it's going to be like 1,000, 1,500, and if I want to get a good Pokemon deck, it could easily be like $100. if
That's
that.
nuts. That
So
blows my mind.
That kind of oftentimes makes me want to be like, damn, I'd rather play Pokemon because I don't have that kind of money to be spending on Yu-Gi-Oh.
Well-
Especially not when you couple it with guitars. That's the
Is there
tough
money?
thing about having nerd hobbies on the side.
So is there money in competitions though?
Not in Yu-Gi-Oh.
No.
much.
So you're spending this money, but not like making it back on the competitions
Rarely.
themselves.
If you're like in the top like 0.5% of Yu-Gi-Oh
That's
players, you might be
ridiculous.
making money on it.
That's
but-
wild, especially considering.
now you can make
that's the
money
market
on
for it.
trading. Pick up cards low, sell them high. I see a lot of people make a lot of money on trading the cards. You can do it just like the stock market. Like
Yeah, I was about to
you
say,
see,
yeah.
oh, this set's coming out. I'll bet you anything this $40 card goes up to 60 after this deck gets more support in the next set. I'm gonna buy a ton of them at 40 and sell them at 60 after the new set comes out. And just like stocks, maybe it's a flop and the card goes down to 30 and you lose on it. That's the only way you can really make money in Yu-Gi-Oh.
Wow.
Which is that if you're good at the game and you keep up on it and you can accurately predict trends,
You're
you
literally
can, and
playing the
I'll,
stock
I'll
game.
see people like, yeah, that's what it is, really.
I like islands
Yeah. Wait. What?
because they're blue, and blue mana gives you counters.
Magic.
Well, and because I'll see all the time people posting and saying like, hey, I'm picking this card up for like 110% retail. Like I'm paying more than what it's worth because they can't find them and they are confident enough that the card's going to go up a lot that they still think it's a good investment.
Yeah. So you just said me being ignorant to most of the card games. I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh when I was a kid, but
Yeah.
it's changed so
Oh
vastly.
my god, yeah.
It reminds me a little bit of Magic now. When I first seen
Oh,
Magic,
Yu-Gi-Oh is like a lot.
do you use energy?
Magic
No.
is
Do you contain energy? Of any
Yu-Gi-Oh
sort?
is like way more explosive than Magic.
Okay.
Yu-Gi-Oh is usually over in like a
Yeah, 'cause
turn
Magic's
or two.
over, like, a
because
pace.
you just dump everything you have on the field and either they can deal with it or they can't. Magic
Magic-
is a lot more back and forth.
Yu-Gi-Oh's power creep has kind of been like this,
Yeah.
and Magic's is kind of like it just kind of goes up every
Yeah.
few
Yu-Gi-Oh's
years.
power
yeah.
creep rarely goes down. That's the
Yeah.
problem.
Okay.
Usually when more cards come out, the game gets more intense. Every
Yeah.
now and again they'll ban some stuff and it'll go down a bit, but it's kind of uncommon.
Yeah, so like an average, like 10 years ago, you'd see like a bunch of like 6 to 10 star creatures. Now you're seeing like double that. something like that. Maybe.
I don't think the stars even
no,
matter
the stars
so much
don't
as the
matter.
effects.
Really?
What it
Yeah.
is
Effects
10
now?
years ago you see creatures
It
with
was
like
stars.
well, they still have them, but what it is 10 years ago you see creatures with like 2 lines of text, and now you see creatures with like 5, 6, 7 lines of text. All these different effects that they have.
Don't
And
they
better
have,
effects,
Don't they
too.
have some of them where like the picture's actually smaller so that they can squeeze
Yes.
more text onto the card?
Yes.
You got to get it in there, man. We got some
Although
effects.
I will say one of those cards is relinquished, and he was like one of the original Yu-Gi-Oh cards. So a lot of the times people are like, "Oh, Yu-Gi-Oh's gotten so crazy," and if you really look back, like it's kind of always been fucking
They
Yeah.
did start abbreviating graveyard to GY
to conserve space.
to conserve
that's true.
space.
Wow, that makes sense. I mean, I give them props for thinking outside the box to fit more details into their cards.
Very true.
But Magic already. That's what I'm saying. Like when I first played
Magic's
Magic,
been doing that.
yeah, they've done.
And I've had
doing
this
that.
argument with Ben before, and he thinks that it means that Magic as a whole is better than Yu-Gi-Oh because
Well,
their
no.
cards are more
Well,
concise.
Yu-Gi-Oh started out. The reason Yu-Gi-Oh got popular was because of the American TV show, Yu-Gi-Oh, and so
Which,
a bunch
fun
of
fact, the TV show is actually only based on one segment of the original manga.
yes,
Because
which is
it's
so weird.
Yu-Gi-Oh! King of Games. It's supposed to be a series of different games, but the card game itself became so popular, it became the focal point and actually entered production.
Yeah, exactly. So this blew up. This card game just blew up out of nowhere, and so you have this giant fandom of mostly children that like the Pokemon game or Yu-Gi-Oh game, the card game itself, and the show. I remember buying the big,
The dual disc.
the dual disc. Yeah, I was like 10 years old, and so but you had this fandom that grew up and now
yeah,
has
and that's
money.
what's crazy about it is that Yu-Gi-Oh fans are more adults now
Yeah.
because the kids nowadays aren't like getting into Yu-Gi-Oh. That was the thing from our childhood.
Yeah.
Any more than they're watching Rugrats and shit, you know?
Yeah, and that's where I think the the complication of detail came into the cards is like the people that were fans of it became adults and obviously more intelligent as they grew up, so they wanted more.
And that's why that's probably a
detail
lot
on
of the
the
reason
cards.
it is more strategy driven as
Yeah.
well.
It makes sense.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Is far more complex now than it was when we were kids.
Absolutely.
Magic as a whole has remained roughly on the same level.
same
of
level.
complexity.
Magic's one of the only card games I will give them this one prop, and this is the only prop I'll give them, which is that they're one of the only card games that I've seen that really deals well with the power creep thing.
Yeah.
They've stayed steady throughout like 20 years. Yu-Gi-Oh could never. I mean, if you look at like, oh, here's Magic 20 years ago, here's Magic now. It's like, oh, here's Yu-Gi-Oh 20 years ago, here's Yu-Gi-Oh now.
Yeah.
You know, it has not stayed at all the
The
same.
strategies systems are vastly different too. Like with a lot of times, I know in Magic there's like 4 or 5 main colors, right?
There's
So-
5.
Yeah.
There's 5: black,
They-
blue,
Black, blue,
red,
white,
green.
red, and green.
Yeah, green.
Swamp, mountain,
yeah.
forest, plains, and island.
Which they all focus on certain things. Like one will directly go on your health points.
Green is typically like growth and new life and making things bigger and getting out a lot of land.
Yeah.
Red is burn and damage and trample and strong creatures.
Mm-hmm.
White is typically life gain and
You get
like
more health
holy
points.
stuff.
Yeah.
Blue is like magic and mysterious stuff
Control.
and water
Yeah.
and lots of control, counter
Yeah.
spells. And then the swamps like nightmare creatures and life drain and like instant destruction effects.
Blue and black decks are like the combo I normally would see.
Blue black is
used
one
a
of my
lot,
favorites to
which is
play.
basically just I could see you doing that because you just like, hey, I'm just gonna sit here.
You're
You
not
can't
allowed to have
attack
fun
me.
anymore.
You can't attack me, but I'm gonna take your health points. But I'm not gonna attack you.
No, you don't
could
even take
beat
their
them
health
till
points.
they're black and blue.
You put out an enchantment that says you don't deal damage to them. Instead, when you deal damage, they discard that many cards from their deck.
And then you're oh
so
yeah.
then you win by milling them out.
That's right. That's how that works.
Don't let them have fun. Just take away their good
Yeah, and that's
cards.
another difference with Yu-Gi-Oh! Is you do have your 6 attributes, your fire, water, wind, earth, light, dark, that are kind of like the
Yeah.
magic colors, but they don't matter in a sense. There's a lot of decks that play lots of different attributes. There's a lot of decks that do only play one attribute, but you're never like
The
limited.
creature type is a lot more important.
Yeah, well, and sometimes it's
sometimes.
also not. Some decks don't care what type they are.
I feel like Pokemon is the main card game that focuses on like.
Well, that's because
Yes.
there's actually like resistances and.
Yeah.
And the other
weaknesses.
difference about Pokemon is it has a different mana system than a lot of card games.
Yeah.
Because instead of the player having the mana, the Pokemon has the mana. That's energy is effectively mana, but you can only give it to one Pokemon at a time.
Yeah. Okay.
So if this guy takes 3 to attack and this guy takes 2 to attack, you need 5 total because you have to give him to each one of them. You can't
Okay,
just say,
yeah.
I've got 3, so you can both use it like you could in Magic. It's also, you use the mana to attack, and in Magic, you use it to bring your cards out. In Pokemon, you just get to play your cards. You don't have to spend anything for them.
Yeah, that's.
So there's a few differences for
Because
sure.
if you build up in Magic, if you build up enough mana, you could just use it.
But
at any
Yu-Gi-Oh!
time.
Just has
Each turn.
no mana
Each
system.
turn, right?
Yu-Gi-Oh has no mana system. Used to be.
The normal summon used to be your mana system
Yeah.
because you can only normal summon one monster a turn. Now there's so many decks that let you special summon 15, 20 times in a turn. It doesn't really matter that you... I mean, you only get to normal summon once. That's still true, but you're still going to dump your whole hand on the field half the time.
Fucking card games are crazy. They're so detailed. Like you wouldn't think. Like, and these all spawn. Like besides Magic, the Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon all spawn to popularity for us in our childhood for TV shows, and just to see it develop in these crazy fads in 2 different spectrums: one consumer based, collection based, and one competition, and trying to be better, actual play style and strategy. It's just super strange to see those lift off in these 2 very different worlds, because I do
Right.
think that Yu-Gi-Oh does have a bigger like there's more people going out and playing at game shops Yu-Gi-Oh than there's people playing Pokemon.
Magic also hits that balance between the two of them.
It does, yeah.
You have people who are collecting older cards because Magic has been around for a long time.
93, right? Is it 93, 94?
It's I
wanna
don't
say-
know the exact date.
I wanna say
but I know
early
it's
90s.
back.
Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is only 2001 in North America.
I might be wrong. I'm probably
But-
wrong, but
You also have people who are buying up the new releases because because of the way the gameplay formats work.
yeah.
You can only go back a certain number of releases for cards that you can build your deck in.
Okay.
But that's what causes prices to fluctuate as long as they're still within
Like
like
that is another difference. Pokemon does that too. They call it a rotation. It's like you can use like I don't know what the number is, but like this many sets, and when a new set comes out, that number moves, and now you can't use this set.
Oh, really?
And
Is that just
Yu-Gi-Oh!
for competition?
Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah. But Yu-Gi-Oh! Has a different way of doing that, which is you can always use every card since the beginning of the game, but lots of them are banned.
That makes sense. Like, isn't what is it? Pot of Greed?
Pot of Greed, yeah, that's been
Right.
banned for years.
Yeah.
I
and
think
years
has Pot of Greed ever been unbanned?
In earlier formats, it was limited to 1 because it was like the game was so back and forth that just having a draw 2 was okay. The way the format is now, like oftentimes having Pot of Greed would just mean you win the game. So
Wow. Oh, man, that's fucking nuts. That's just a whole lot of stuff about cards that I had to take in right there.
I'm really out of the loop for Magic. I really only jump in whenever they release a new Ravnica block,
That makes sense.
and then I play for like 6 months. I build a couple decks based off of my favorite color combinations, and then I forget the game exists. So I have like 3 decks at my house that I built like the last 3 times I started playing Magic, which was like 2019, 2013, and then like 2004.
I mean, now I get it. I mean, that's kind of like it is. I do that with RuneScape.
Oh boy.
We're not gonna get too far into that.
I gotta
stuff.
get you on Valheim too.
Yeah, I'll do it. We'll get. Yeah, Ben's been playing that. I don't have Steam though, so I had to
Make one.
I had to figure. I'd get it all together. Not been much of a PC gamer, but always been a console gamer.
Well, make a Steam.
All right, well, I will. And I'm on that note, I'm gonna call it. It's been fucking awesome having you guys out here, man.
Yeah,
hell
absolutely.
yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming
Nice
out to
getting
the
to see you
podcast.
and K-Dog again.
Yeah, K Dudley. Yeah. Well, guys, this has been talking to me, talking to you.
Talking to me.
Talking to you.
You have a good one.